playoff dreams, NFC North bragging rights, and the ghosts of Lions legends like Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson hang heavy over Detroit once again. The Lions sit at 5-3, coming off a humbling home loss to the Vikings that exposed serious holes in the defense. And yet, in the final frantic hours of the NFL trade deadline, the front office stayed quiet. No major splashes, no jaw-dropping, no desperate grabs to boost a defense hemorrhaging talent off the edge and in the secondary. No Joe Bitonio, no Wyatt Teller, no Jermaine Johnson. Just silence. If last year's playoff surge taught us anything, it's that Detroit has to be bold to survive the brutal NFC North gauntlet. But this time, Dan Campbell's blue-collar Lions seemed content to sit on the sidelines while rivals shuffled pieces and bolstered both lines. What does this mean for a team that's softened up in key areas and faces a Week 10 showdown against the suddenly vulnerable Commanders? The stakes are enormous, and Detroit fans know all too well the pain of hesitation, from Sanders' abrupt retirement to Johnson's early exit. The question is, can the Lions muscle up and finish, or are they repeating history? This is Lions News Fan Report, the pulse of Detroit grit and Honolulu blue passion. Subscribe now, lock in that roar for Ford Field. And let's break it down, because silence at the deadline isn't just a missed opportunity. It's a statement on where this team believes they are. And maybe, just maybe, that statement isn't the one Detroit fans wanted to hear. Despite clear needs along the defensive line and in the secondary devastated by injuries and a lack of proven depth, Detroit stood pat at the trade deadline while other teams made moves. The New York Jets dismantled their defense, trading away Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner, thrusting edge rusher Jermaine Johnson into the spotlight. Johnson, a former first-round pick and one-time Pro Bowler, would have been a game-changing complement to Aiden Hutchinson across the line of scrimmage. Instead, reports confirmed the Jets' asking price was a second-round pick, and the Lions declined to negotiate. This follows an offseason decision to let veteran edge rusher Zadarius Smith walk. He signed with the Eagles before retiring, leaving a glaring hole in pass rush production. Detroit's pass rush is dangerously one-dimensional without a legitimate counterpart to Hutchinson, one that can generate consistent pressure and force offenses into mistakes. On the offensive side, the injury to guard Christian Mahogany out with a broken ankle and sidelined a long time. Per coach Dan Campbell crippled an already shaky offensive line. The Lions responded by signing rookie guard Jack Conley to the practice squad, likely signaling internal depth shuffling with Tristan Cullen or Kingsley Aguakun moving in. Yet, when the Browns dangled Pro Bowl talents Joe Bitonio and Wyatt Teller, Detroit passed. Both veterans could have fortified Detroit against division rivals like the Packers and Vikings, who boast potent defensive fronts capable of disrupting Jared Goff and the Lions' offense. The decision not to pursue either guard suggests a front office either confident in existing arms or constrained by cap space and draft. Capital, an odd position for a team aiming to repeat as NFC North champs. What makes Detroit's inaction so head-scratching is Dan Campbell's aggressive DNA, last year's deadline deal to acquire. Zadarius Smith was a statement part swagger, part practical necessity that paved the way for that playoff push. Campbell's coaching thrives on being aggressive, relentless, and adaptable. His sideline antics and play calling never suggest a team content to just survive. He wants to dominate. Yet, this deadline felt like a passive hand, a gamble that the current roster can scrape by without bolstering. Against the backdrop of recent decades highlight reels of Sanders and Megatron cut short, the crushing 0-16 collapse, and the sting of near misses, the front office risks sliding back into old habits, favoring patience over urgency. For Lions fans who tailgate, bicker, and believe in the blue-collar hustle, this was a tough pill to swallow. You don't just wait for the perfect player to fall into your lap. You hunt, you trade, you push. Technically, the addition of Jack Conley to the practice squad while adjusting the line depth after Mahogany's injury offers some relief. But it's a Band-Aid amid cracked concrete. On defense, losing ground to the Vikings, who have quietly revamped their pass rush with healthy stars and fresh legs, means the Lions are already playing from behind in the NFC North arms race. The Packers, rebuilding but still dangerous, and Bears, adding youth and speed, are all getting better. With Jay and Daniels out for Washington in Week 10, Detroit should be in a position to take advantage, but without external reinforcement, especially a legitimate edge presence or secondary upgrade. There could be cracks forming in what looked like a sturdy contender. What you need to know: Detroit's refusal to engage with Cleveland on Bitonio and Teller was not for lack of availability. Both guards would have been immediate upgrade, bringing multiple Pro Bowl seasons worth of run blocking and pass protection to a unit currently shuffling backups and rookies. Bitonio, known for his leads on power runs, and Teller, a mauler who can open lanes and swallow blitzes, fit the profile of the Dan Campbell offense predicated on tough downhill running and protecting Goff in critical moments. Letting this opportunity go untouched leaves questions about management's evaluation of this roster ceiling, and it could be a costly mistake if the injury bug strikes again or playoff seeding hinges on line play. The ripple effects in the division are undeniable. Vikings and Packers front offices will take note, and that could influence trade chips and draft strategies moving forward. From a fan perspective, the silence at the deadline feels like deja vu, like the front office isn't channeling the urgency needed to capitalize on the team's current NFC North standings. It's a reminder of the thin line between playoff glory and another rebuilding year, a tightrope shared with every Lions fan who remembers how quickly the best of Detroit football vanishes like a tailgate talking buddy who disappears halfway through the third quarter, never to return. It's time to ask, what is this Lions roster really capable of? Can Hutchinson carry a defense that's missing key pieces? And will our offensive line hold as the schedule tightens? Without external help, the margin for error shrinks fast. The Lions face Week 10 against Washington as solid favorite, but long-term, this deadline inactivity might come back to haunt them. Dan Campbell's personality screams, go big or go home. Yet the front office choice to stand pat is a gamble with the franchise's recent momentum. Will Detroit's blue-collar grit and drive carry them forward? Or are we watching the first cracks in a repeat run? Fans, it's time to weigh in. Does this move signal confidence or complacency? How do you see this reshaping the NFC North race and Detroit's playoff hopes? Sound off, because the clock is ticking, and in Lions territory, waiting is never easy. And as the clock ticks down, will this daring game of chess with the NFC North unfold into a miraculous turnaround? Or are we about to witness a franchise that's content to flirt with playoff hopes, only to watch them evaporate in the cold Detroit winter? The next few hours could be the defining moment, bold move or silent surrender, because in the Motor City, we don't wait for miracles, we make our own. But if the front office gambles this away, it might just be the first step toward a rebuilding season masked as a close call, or a franchise awakening into the true blue-collar grit that defines Detroit. Because the risk isn't just on the field anymore. It's in the silence at the deadline, whispering whether this is a push toward greatness or the beginning of the end. Honestly, I'm fed up with his waiting game. We've seen what happens when Detroit goes soft. History isn't kind, and patience has a price. This is our shot, our window, and sitting still, that's how you get left behind. We need to punch through, push harder. The Lions are a blue-collar team, damn it, not a bunch of analysts playing it safe on the sidelines. If we don't make a move, we're just settling for another near miss, and I'm sick of watching history repeat itself. It's time to show some guts, or this season's just another chapter in the what could have been saga. This is Motor City Grit. We don't wait for the big breaks. We create them. One pride doesn't sit on its hands. It roars, it fights, and it pushes the limits. The deadline's here, Detroit. Make your move, or accept being another chapter in a long line of what-ifs. Let's go. Blue-collar style. Be relentless, be fearless, and show the NFL what it means to bleed Honolulu blue.